We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are sent to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off this fucking neck. Let me shoot you. Can't fucking breathe. So let me shoot you. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of ImNoJoe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the ImNoJoe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Je suis Zemitier. Voici mon frère Slobek. Voici notre ami The Avocado et l'étrange Ginger SRJ. Bienvenue sur Zeneshwe Pajot. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the ImNoJoe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can get Frenchy with it and still feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, we have got a glorious panel full of fuckery and shenanigans ready to catch up on this week off we gave you guys. We are back at it, ready to get into it. But before we get into all that shit talking and shenaniganry, first and foremost, gentlemen, how the fuck are you guys doing this evening?
Pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah, pretty good. So someone else is having problems with OBS, I see. Good. It's not just me. Consider mine just crashed.
Fuck OBS a lot.
My computer just completely crashed. I had to reboot just for the show. It's like, yay.
OBS crashed on me several times while trying to get this set up, and it's still kind of finicky, but it seems to be playing nice for now. So we're gonna
knock on wood.
It stays that way. We'll see. My fucking TV is updating software, of course. So that being said, before we get into anything here, as has become a not as funny as it should be joke, we here at the I'm No Joe podcast do not like to offer subpar products, and in the situation we cannot offer the product we originally had advertised, we refuse to give you subpar situational last minute bullshit. Now, in the event we had suffered just recently, we actually weren't live last week for us to bring you the breaking and unfortunate news that this evening's originally scheduled matchup for round one of the Pit Grand Prix had to be postponed. As we say, life comes first, and one of our challengers this evening, who, as we have aforementioned, will not be named, had to take off because life happens, and so that comes first. Luckily, in this situation, we have such valiant and vigorous competitors here on the I'm No Joe podcast. We were willing to find a mutually agreed upon replacement as soon as we were notified that the original matchup was not going to work. So although this is the first that you may be hearing of it now, because we did have a week off, both competitors did have a full week of notification and mutually agreed on the matchup before it was publicly acknowledged. So that being said, we will have a changed matchup. I'm not going to call it a substituted matchup. It's a changed matchup to wrap out the episode this evening. But before we get into that, news and recent events. Now, we did, even though it's been a little bit since we have been here for you fine folks, we did do a What Did I Say show recapping UFC 278 all the way back in the far, far away land. I know that's been so goddamn long ago, and RJ's almost grown facial hair since then, so it's got to have been a minute. But we do have just the tiniest little bit of recap that I want to do real quick before we do the actual news and rundown here, because even though there was no UFC last weekend, there were a couple of punchy-kicky events that I do want to give credit to real quick. Not enough to have warranted a full show last week, but just real quick here. First and foremost, the Dodson brothers have established themselves as valiant and legitimate BKFC contenders, both of them. Granted, the younger Dodson brother had a full goddamn Campbell's label wearing can on his fucking side to go for. Still, John Dodson came out, and I've been saying this for a long goddamn time. When these MMA guys make the transition over into bare knuckle or into full on boxing, and they get to wear shoes in the fucking ring, it changes the speed and the power level that you're used to seeing these athletes perform at. And John Dodson gave us a fucking blisteringly painful reminder of just that. The magician looked fucking magical last weekend. Fuck Taylor Starling. She got exactly what she fucking deserved. Talked all that shit, tried to say she was doing it for her kids, then promoted her fucking OnlyFans, then quit in 47 goddamn seconds. Fuck you. I fucking called that shit, that fucking bitch. That being said, though, motherfuckers act like they forgot about DJ. I understand that he's been competing over and won, so he's not as thrust in the public's face as he used to be when he was still on the UFC roster. But goddamn it, that man is taking on fucking titans. He is the same fucking size he's always been, and he's fighting dudes that could easily and should realistically be fighting at 145 fucking pounds right now. And not only is he taking them on, he's fucking decimating the literal best on the fucking planet for the second organization in a row. Fucking get some. That being said, before we did get to last weekend's Amazon Prime, or what do they call it? One on Prime Video 1, because they're planning to do another one. We actually had, ironically enough, controversy out the fucking gate there as well. Half the reason they were doing the event, fucking Rod Tang, did not get cleared, could not pass the weight and hydration regiment tests. And the day before, Andre Moraes, the one fighting Mighty Mouse, who subsequently succumbed to the knee hurt round the goddamn world, actually initially failed his weight and then rehydration test, passed the weight test, but then somehow failed the hydration test, went through the process again, passed the hydration test behind closed doors after missing weight. There was all sorts of sketchy shit going on there. All said and done, though, I believe they said Andre Moraes stepped into the cage at something to the tune of 148 fucking pounds, and DJ was like 136. Back to quote unquote rehydrated. And then DJ still gave him the goddamn business. So, motherfucker, put some respect on his goddamn name. He's still the fucking goat. That being said, because the commission has only deemed one of the fucking cocksuckers from the tube boxing world as untalkaboutable. The other thing that everyone missed because no one fucking talked about it, KSI KO'd 2 guys in the same night last week. Okay, moving on. So we do have actual announcements for real fights that we do need to get into here because there are a metric fuck ton. So I'm going to try and micro machine these as quick as I fucking can here because we got some shit to talk about this evening. So first and foremost, if you have not seen, it is out there on social media. Oh, I just got fucking heebie-jeebies just goddamn thinking about it. Sean Strickland is officially out of the October 15th fight against Jared Cannonier. He punched a guy in hard sparring at his gym, split the knuckle, got infected, and it went all the way down to the bone and got fucking nasty. Like they had to go in and clean that shit the fuck out.
Yeah, that picture was fucking gnarly, man.
Yeah, that it's serious. Like I hope
Apparently,
Sean
I saw the video when Sean was in the hospital. He said he fucking caught the dude's tooth. So that's how it got infected.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on Golf D's show last night.
Yep.
I have a scar in the middle of my fucking middle knuckle right there from the exact same thing from when I was in a fight years ago and I caught a dude's fucking tooth and half of it fucking broke off and came back with me in my goddamn knuckle. Yeah, that shit's not fun. Apparently I sanitized mine better than Sean did somehow because his shit got all bad and like I said, needed fucking surgery to fix, but surgery went well, so he should be healing up quickly. But oh shit.
They got to pass out better mouthwash before the fights. That's all there is to it.
Oh, shit.
It's a safety precaution.
So we got a pair of obviously kind of last minute announcements for next weekend's UFC 279 card. The first one we did hear about rumors a while back, but again, we try not to talk about shit until ink has been put to paper here. It is officially official now. Kevin Holland will be fighting D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez next weekend. And then the one that I don't think anyone saw coming that they literally just announced at 278, Tony Ferguson versus Li Jingliang at 170 pounds next weekend for UFC 279. So that card obviously needed some fucking help, but those are both genuinely fucking impressive and exciting fights that got added to next weekend's fucking card that I'm very fucking stoked to see both play out.
Here we go. The October 1st UFC Fight Night card. Cheyenne used to be Bays, Vala something now. Fuck her anyways. Is out because she sucks. But luckily for us, Jessica Penne does not suck. Stepped in on short notice. Will be fighting Tabitha Ricci on October 1st. So that's cool. Let's see how that one plays out. We got word this week. We kind of had a deep down fucking suspicion it was coming. We got official confirmation this week. The rest of the Kiwis are officially on board. UFC 281 in Madison Square Garden, November 12th. Dan Hooker will be fighting Claudio Puelles, and Brad Quake Riddell will be taking on Hanato Moicano, which are fucking spectacular fights unto themselves. But because they needed more fights on that card, you know, to remind people how great pay-per-views can be when they're not trying to push Nate Diaz's fucking pocketbooks down on his way out the door, they also added on top of that list Carla Esparza making her first renewed title defense against Weili Zhang, taking place on that 281 card. But wait, there's more, because they want to remind you how great a pay-per-view card can be when they're not trying to use it as an excuse for Nate Diaz to get no money when he leaves the organization. There's more fights getting added to UFC 281. Karolina Kowalkiewicz will be taking on Salvina Gomez Juarez at UFC 281. But wait, that's still not enough. We've got another one added to UFC 271, you know, so you understand the value in a pay-per-view as long as Nate Diaz isn't on it. Otman Azatar versus Matt Frivola. They're almost just spaghetti throwing shit at the wall to see what's going to stick to 281 at this fucking point, you know, to show you the value of a pay-per-view, as long as Nate Diaz isn't attached to it. So 281 is going to be fucking lit one way or another. But back on the non-pay-per-view side of things for a couple here, the October 1st card, Vegas 61, got an interesting heavyweight matchup stuck onto it here. Jairzinho Rosenstruik versus Chris Dacus officially penned to paper. That could be very interesting, or a very high-level Walrus slap fight. Either way, I'm still going to fucking tune in. The following 2 weeks after that, October 15th, for the UFC Vegas 61 card, Victor Henry stepping back into the octagon against Rafael Asunciao, probably the highest test of his very young career, but a very interesting small guy matchup to keep an eye on just the same. Another one that we have heard rumors about, but is now officially official. Pen has been put to paper. October 29th, the fight night coming back from Abu Dhabi, to be announced where it's going to take place. It'll be the Apex. Tim the Dirty Bird Means officially stepping back into the octagon, taking on Max Griffin. That's going to be a fucking awesome fight unto itself as well. November 19th, coming back to fight nights from Madison Square Garden in a to-be-determined location. It's going to be the Apex. We got a very interesting matchup here. Maria Oliveira taking on everyone's newfound favorite stripper, ex-stripper, now UFC fighter, Vanessa Demopoulos. See which poor schmuck she's going to jump into arms of fucking this week. November 5th, going back in time just a little bit, we get a rebook of one we didn't get to talk about not happening because we didn't have a show last week. Weird how time travel works like that, isn't it? So 278 actually originally had Miranda Maverick versus Shanna Young attached to it, but the day of weigh-ins, Shanna Young was hospitalized due presumably to some issues during her weight cut. We never officially got any confirmation, just that she was hospitalized and the fight was off. It was too late to find a replacement, so they were going to potentially try and move it. Well, we got our confirmation. They have officially moved it to the UFC November 5th card. Miranda Maverick versus Shanna Young is officially rebooked. Now, another one that we got rumors several times swirling around about, but waited until we got into paper on and is now officially official because, you know, they needed more heat on the Abu Dhabi card, UFC 280, October 22nd. They got it anyways. It is now officially official. Parker Porter versus Hamdi Abdel Wahab, our newly found Egyptian hero in the UFC. Parker Porter may be one of the toughest heavyweight walruses we've got to fucking throw at a guy to see what he's capable of. And they're going for it. They're going to make it fucking happen. So I am absolutely curious to see if Parker can get his hands up or be able to stop Hamdi coming in for a power double to throw his fat ass against the fucking ground. It's going to get real fucking interesting. And in Abu Dhabi, where all of his fucking Egyptian fans can come and fucking witness this shit, could be even fucking crazier. There's going to be some definite hometown vibes going on for Hamdi, but I'm very fucking curious to see how that one plays out. That's going to be a great matchup. A little bit later into the year here, December 3rd, Mark DeKessie stepping back in. Old Red Stripe himself is going back at it against Michael Johnson. Very interesting matchup. December 12th, the final pay-per-view of the year, UFC 282, got a very tasty little matchup added to it just this afternoon. Edmund Shabazian, fresh out of brain warp camp and into the real world, his chance to finally spread his goddamn legs and see if he is indeed a real boy or still just Ronda's puppet. We'll find out real goddamn quick because they're throwing him to Dolce Lungiambulia. That motherfucker has dynamite in his hands, and if Edmund has not learned about head movement yet, this will be the final test he gets, I assure you. That's a crazy good fucking fight. That's got lots of fun potential in it. Coming backwards a little bit here, we talked about it last week, DAZN, because everybody needs somebody to make fun of, even if you're Triller. October 15th, there is a card that no one asked for taking place last minute, kind of rushed together here. Vitor Belfort versus Hasim Rahman Jr. Fresh off of the failed fight against he who shall not be named here on the channel, thanks to the commission, the shenaniganry and shit show that dragged into the public aside, Vitor stepped right up, seeing as how he was one of the first people to publicly call for a fight against young Voldemort that was obviously ignored. Now it seems like two of the most notable names being ignored by he who should be ignored have teamed up, and Wonder Twin powers activated to try and outsell pay-per-view of morons. We'll find out because they aren't building a fucking card around it, but that matchup itself is kind of interesting, so we'll see. Over on the other side of the world here, Bellator made a couple of interesting announcements for us here. Their next two big cards, Bellator 288, will be taking place November 18th in Chicago, and it will be headlined officially by Corey Anderson versus Vadim Nemkov for that light heavyweight strap. That actually is potentially a very interesting fight here. Corey Anderson seems to think that he's just going to walk in, take the fucking strap, and run fucking Bellator's light heavyweight division. Also forgetting somehow that Yoel still hasn't really got a chance to get his feet tractioned over there, and that's going to cause big fucking ripples when that does. But hey, do you, boo-boo? Get that money, son. The following month, Bellator 289, December 9th, back up in Uncasville, Massachusetts at Mohegan Sun, will be headlined by the Grand Prix, or the Bantamweight Grand Prix final matchup. Rafael Stotts, the interim champion, versus Danny Sabatello, the tournament finalist for the belt, the cash prize, all the glory, the ability to go back on Ariel's show and talk shit and say, I told you so, whatever that's fucking actually worth. But it's a thing that I'm actually kind
hilarious. I'm
actually genuinely more excited for that than I am for Corey versus Vadim. That's going to be insane. Rafion Stotts. We literally have been talking about Rafion Stotts over here for a hot goddamn minute. Danny Sabatello, like a fucking unwanted Cabbage Patch Kid, just kind of fucking popped up out of nowhere fairly recently in the MMA world. And much like a Cabbage Patch Kid, is just so fucking hard to get rid of and creepy unto its own fucking right. But hey, do you, boo-boo, I guess, with your fucking glasses and shit. Stylistically, though, those two are going to be very, very fun to watch play out. We did get, holy shit, let me take a drink here, because we did get a last minute dump of some interesting fucking announcements that I'm going to try and run through real quick. The bucket news quite literally tipped over just before the show as well. So December 3rd, the UFC is booked officially Clay Guida's 60th professional MMA match against Scotty Too Hottie Holtzman. That's going to be an interesting fucking matchup. Stylistically, very interesting. Ability-wise, we'll find out. We'll find out. Scotty really needs a win. Clay might just keep that train rolling off of his dumbass head. So that I'm very curious to see how that matchup plays out. Also on that December 3rd card, for some goddamn reason, two people that I can't fucking stand, and they just happen to match them together. Emily Ducote versus Angela Hill, two of the short notice queens that no one really gives two fucks about. I'm kind of hoping they're using this as a loser leaves town match, because realistically they could cut both of them and lose nothing. But the UFC does love a last minute replacement can on the ladies' side, so surely one of them will get kept, hopefully the winner, and hopefully it's Ducote, as much as it hurts me to fucking say that. But the following week after that December 3rd card, on December 5th, we got what might be one of the most important dates in the MMA world confirmed. Ink has been officially set to paper. The Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington trial officially takes place, so we can find out if he really did get brain damage, and can we really try and book the potential Jorge versus Leon rematch in London, because fuck Marty, he don't deserve shit. Oh, I said it. We'll find out. We'll find out December 5th. That being said, on the December 17th, the final UFC non-pay-per-view fight night card of the year in a to-be-determined location. It'll be at the Apex. We got a very interesting matchup that I assure you no one fucking asked for, but we have to see play out because the UFC. Alex Perez versus Amir Albazi, because we can't get rid of the Azatar or the Albazi boys from the fucking UFC, no matter what they do, right? We gotta love them because the UFC, motherfuckers. We did get a little bit of kind of expected but not as interesting news over on the weird punch-kicky side of the house. If you had ever gotten drunk and stumbled into the weird boxing side of YouTube, you might have found the Triller Triad combat events that took place. If not, don't go look for them. You're better off, I assure you. But to summarize and save you headache, I assure you, I'm saving you headache. They literally took a weird shaped triangle and made it into a boxing ring and let MMA guys fight boxing guys with boxing shoes on in a weird shaped triangle ring. Hence Triad combat. Team of boxers, pro boxers on one side, team of MMA fighters on the other side. Triad combat. There, I saved you headache. Don't go look for it. I'm telling you, don't. But in these fucking weird events that Triller had put on, the team boxing was head by Shannon the Cannon Briggs, heavyweight, loudmouth fucking celebrity more than anything these days. And to the surprise of fucking no one, heading up the MMA side of things for these Triller Triad combats was Quentin Rampage Jackson, because he's a giant fucking MMA guy that people think of as just as loud as Shannon the Cannon Briggs, and he fucking was. So now that all has said and done, and the MMA guys almost universally beat the shit out of the boxing guys, because as we've mentioned several times, when you let MMA guys keep the boxing shoes on, it changes the fucking game, considering their whole world is boxing barefoot, and then you give them grip, you're fucked. That's how it works. But now, to the surprise of no one, after the ass whoopings and the literal unabashed fucking gloating by Rampage, again, to the surprise of no one, in Shannon's face, they are officially in titled negotiations. Pen has been signed to paper. They are working out fine details right now. They are going to box. Rampage said he is officially not done. He cannot leave the fighting world with the way he went out in his last Bellator performance. So this is the first of what he hopes to be a resurgence in his final lap of his actual combat sports career. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's go champ and all that shit. On kind of a, didn't we already go through this once already? But either way, okay, news. Wanderlei Silva has officially retired from MMA. He has expressed political interest now, but had dabbled in previously talking about coming back to some exhibition boxing matches, maybe some MMA as well. He has decided now he is giving up that ambition. He is leaving the next generation, as he says. His son will carry on the Silva legacy, and he is going to stay out of fighting now. So, again, Wanderlei Silva, congrats on being able to hang your hat up and still complete full sentences, I guess. But still a very weird career if you go back and look at it. That being said, we got kind of a weird confirmation from Dana after the UFC 278 shenaniganry, I guess would be the best way to describe it. On the morning of weigh-ins, one of the USADA representatives went to Paulo Costa's room at 5 o'clock in the morning while he was doing the finalization of his weight cut and made him give a blood sample, which in someone like Paulo's case, who's realistically probably coming down off of a cycle, you would think the ability to have puncture wounds in your arms before weigh-in day would be a good thing for you. But, you know, Paulo, who can't fucking lose, even win, apparently at this point, without having something to cry about, went immediately public and cried about USADA messing up his weight routine, even though he did actually make weight and then win that fight against Luke, if that's what you want to call winning. He still fucking cried about it, to the extent that Dana White came out and officially confirmed this week that he is implementing changes directly into the way USADA tests athletes, and that he doesn't feel that that was right for them to do, and that no athlete will ever suffer the way that Paulo Costa suffered during his weight cut, and that he appreciates how Paulo handled the situation and still gave his sample like a professional.
They just said blood sample, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure.
Yep. Yeah, they came in again and got a blood sample at 5 o'clock in the morning when he was literally sweating out in his room. So you would think having a valid legal excuse to have that puncture wound in your arm for a dude who's most likely on the shit anyways would be good things. But, you know, whatever. Worry about your fucking bottle of wine or whatever, Paulo. So we did get word this week officially. Claudio Silva, Wu Yanan, and Harry Hunsucker, to the surprise of no one, all coming off of vicious losses, have officially been released from the UFC, are now officially all free agents and can go apply for work elsewhere, but will no longer be fighting under the UFC banner. That being said, speaking of people no longer fighting under the UFC banner, ironically enough, we found out this week, Askar Mozarov, the gentleman who fought one time under the UFC banner earlier in the year, under controversy, coming to find out just as he was getting to the ring, literally the final confirmation that the majority of his resume was quite literally falsified. He and his compatriots literally made up his resume, made up organizations, made up opponents, completely falsified his professional mixed martial arts record. Couldn't stop there. That wasn't enough for him. In the one fight he did get to put on in the UFC, guess what? He popped hot for fucking steroids. So, as if it wasn't a bad enough marring on his quote unquote actual record, that when he finally did get to the UFC, he was immediately exposed as the fraud that he fucking was. But then the one opportunity he did manage to weasel his way into, he got fucking caught because he's too dumb to use steroids. Who'd have thought a guy too dumb to lie about his fucking record was also too dumb to use steroids and not get caught? Surprise. Well, Askar got caught and is now officially suspended in the state of Nevada. Should he find some other fucking stupid organization willing to license him and sign him to fight, he's still got to wait out his time in Nevada because he is officially suspended for the and I wrote this one down because it was a good one. GW1516 sulfone metabolite. Very similar to the M3 from a different steroid, same way that the body processes it, and then it shows up after the fact. This is essentially proof that whether he was doing it now or he done it in the past, he has done steroids. This was effectively a confirmed pulse. They just don't know how much because they don't have enough of a fucking database to see how high this spike really is. If this is his normal level of doping or if this is him coming down off fresh hot fucking cycle. So either way, he's fucked and he's out of the UFC and he's suspended in Nevada on top of that. So fuck ups be fuck ups sometimes. We got a confirmation over the course of our break from you folks of one of those coulda, shoulda, woulda moments that generally we don't really bring up very much on the show, but this one kind of seemed a little more relevant than most. It was inadvertently, I don't know if leaked is the right word, but exposed to the world during the viewing of the UFC 278 watch parties where they have different celebrities and whatnots watch UFC events and the cameras watch their reactions. Well, we had Gronk on one for UFC 278 and Gronk be doing Gronk things and spilled the fucking beans. Well, Dana went ahead and fucking confirmed and told the whole story. Turns out, once upon a time, before fucking idiot John Gruden stuck his dick in the way of what could have been potentially one of the coolest things in recent fucking memory, Dana White had all but signed, sealed, and delivered a deal where Tom Brady and Gronk were going to pair up and come to Las Vegas, join the Raiders team, and they were going to literally build a fucking Raiders team around Tom Brady and Gronk in Las Vegas before Gruden stuck his dick in the way and we ended up with Brady going to fucking Tampa Bay and we saw how that went. We could have quite literally had Brady and Gronk leading the Raiders in Vegas instead of what Tampa Bay was and is still trying to be poorly. But Dana said that he and several of his compatriots were ready to dump truckloads of money into Las Vegas to make cool things happen and make it feel like home for them. And at the very last minute, apparently, John Gruden just decided he didn't like nice things because fuck you, right? So Gruden apparently sank that one at the last minute, which sucks. We did get just a couple more things I want to run through here real quick. December 10th, that final pay-per-view of the year, UFC 282, got a very interesting matchup added to it literally about 45 minutes ago, right before we went live. Billy Quarantillo versus Alexander Hernandez. Added again, literally just before we went live. November 19th, Jennifer Maia versus Marina Moroz. Very interesting matchup. Go Ukraine. UFC 279 next week. Got a literal just happened today confirmation, last second changeup. The original opponent, apparently Shamil had some fucking visa issues. So now we don't get to see heavyweight Jailton Almeida again. We've got catchweight somewhere in the middle this time. Jailton Almeida versus Anton Terkej taking place next week. And Almeida just can't seem to catch a fucking break and get a fight where he actually wants a fucking fight. Stoked to see that he's willing to fucking still stick in there, take a fucking last minute opponent, add a catchweight. That's 2 fucking fights in a row that aren't where he's supposed to fucking be just because he's willing to fucking step up when his opponents can't seem to keep their shit together. So way to fucking look like a stud, dude. Way to look like a stud, provided you don't totally trip over your dick next weekend. We'll see. Final non-pay-per-view card of the year on the UFC side. Words live are hard sometimes. December 17th, Bruno Silva versus Albert Duraev. Very fucking interested in that matchup. And then the final one that we got literally confirmed, I'm not shitting you, 5 minutes before we went live tonight. October 1st, BKFC Louisiana has a very, very proud announcement for its heavyweight edition. Bobo O'Bannon stepping back into the cage against Big Ben Rothwell. It is official. They signed him. They finally have a date for him. They are feeding him Bobo O'Bannon down in the Bayou, BKFC Louisiana. I want to say I feel bad for Bobo O'Bannon, but at this point, if he doesn't have the common sense to fucking retire, like Sam Shoemaker clearly doesn't have the common sense to fucking retire, I can't fucking tell him not to. So chase that fucking paper, boo-boo. Chase that paper. That being said, that's all the fucking craziness in the mountainous news that I managed to shovel up for this week. You guys have anything that I might have missed in this fucking pile of insanity?
Patty Pimblett weighs more than I do.
Yeah, there. That's new. We didn't know that. Not until now.
I've been in the gym for just a few weeks now. I'm down to 205, and he's up to 210. And we're both supposed to, like, he's supposed to fight at lightweight, and I'm working my way towards lightweight. Like, I'm hoping my first amateur fight can be at lightweight. So yeah, I'm on better track to making weight than Patty Pimblett is right now.
And he's already got his fucking contract. Yeah, Patty Pimblett, you didn't catch it. Patty Pimblett weighed himself on Steve-O's podcast I think it was over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 216 fucking pounds or something like that for a dude who fights in the 155-pound weight division.
Yeah, that's a little high.
Like,
but there was news that's already put in chat. The tabloid news. Apparently, Golf T is actually not here tonight. Technically, he said for family reasons, but he's actually on his way to Paris. For the championship fight, he's actually going to be a replacement, and he's going to come back as a champ. So you have a champ next week. Yeah, I mean, this is important news. We need to know. It's better than the alternative that he thought I was going to say about him. So there.
I must have missed that memo. So yeah, no, that's breaking news to me as well.
I mean, it's tabloid news, but it's on a mug. It must be true.
No, but obviously, with that being said, though, with Golf T not being here, unfortunately, that means we don't have a Tapology with TJ this week. We will get a catch-up Tapology with TJ next week for this week and for next week, obviously, once we wrap it all up. But that being said, we do have a very, very interesting double dose of slows, cans, and contenders this week. For those of you, and the reason, okay, so I have been asked by several people now why we have divvied up the segments as we have here, why TJ handles all the Tapology and gives all the betting odds and shit, and why Slow has the cans and contenders, and why I handle the news. I'm a news nerd. Not just for fights, but in general. I'm not exaggerating. A third of my day is literally refreshing a laundry list of news sites for MMA news, for just general news, for health news, for technological news, just to stay fucking informed because I'm a nerd like that. I like to know what the fuck is happening in the world. In MMA, I have a series of sites that I scroll through on the regular, so I do see shit like this. But when it comes to Tapology, I've got about enough time to make my picks, to make sure everybody's picks are locked in before I throw an update stream on, and then to see when the next event that I need to have picks locked in for is lock-in time turns out. I post the update stream links in the Tapology group, but I really don't spend a whole lot of time looking at the numbers realistically. To do the show, to do the news that I follow up with, and just life in general doesn't give me enough time to play there like I would want to. That's one of those things that TJ enjoys because he loves the betting aspect and he keeps track of all the numbers and shit. And he watches all that shit. Brother Slow follows the young up and comers, the new guys, the who we should be watching folks. And the Contender Series is just to such a degree for me that every time I try and give a shit, Contender Series does Contender Series things, and I want to pull my fucking hair out, but I don't have enough to spare. So, luckily, we've got the brother Slow here with Slow's Cans and Contenders, who keeps track of all the goodness and tells us what we need to be paying attention to and what we might have missed because we were too goddamn frustrated at fucking Dana to pay attention this week.
Were you frustrated? Oh,
Did I give that impression? Is that the impression that I gave? Oh my goodness.
no, I didn't catch that at all.
So to start out the fucking segment this week, for the Cans and Contenders, right? It has been a frustrating past couple weeks, right? Like I have these 2 weeks to cover. Going back a couple weeks ago, it was the 5th week of the Contender Series so far in this season. There were only really a couple of good fights and a couple of good prospects to come out of it. And Dana handed out all 5 contracts. We'll get towards it to the end. We'll build up to it. The frustration here. We'll recap these weeks, and we'll get to the frustration, and then we'll preview what we're going to see this next week. Now, I'm always excited to see new up-and-comers. That is something I'm always into. I watch The Ultimate Fighter. I get into the Contender Series. I try to watch as much MMA as I can nowadays, whether it's, this past weekend we were watching BuakawVsVarol and shit together, all that, try to get into as much as I can. But when it comes to this, right, what it is, giving people a shot, you want them to give it their all. You go as hard as you can. You get the one chance. You expect the best, literally the best of the best of amateurs, up and comers, and they're going to give their best opportunities. So for me, I'm always excited about Tuesday nights in the Contender Series. These past 2 weeks, like I said, they've built up the frustration. So going back a couple weeks ago on week 5, we had one fight that wasn't a horrible fight. We had a ladies fight. Denise Gomes wound up, winning the contract off of it. It was similar to the fight we had a few weeks ago, the Uregi and Lucindo fight. Those young ladies that were, I think, 22 and 20 years old that we saw on that fight night card, I think in San Diego. But it was just, it brought me back to the fact that we saw a dominant performance from this chick, Denise Gomes. That brings me back to the couple weeks before that where Karolina Wojcik didn't get a contract. That's that aspect of the built-up frustration. So I felt like he snubbed Wojcik, and then we got Denise Gomes a contract off of almost a similar performance, dominant performance, right? But it was maybe a little more back and forth fight, that Denise Gomes had, and it was a little bloodier. Maybe that was the thing that was more exciting for Dana and why he didn't. But he's just been very generous. He gave all 5 contracts. Cameron Saman, I really liked him. He fucking came out. I think he was 21 years old. So now he's the youngest male athlete in the UFC, won a contract. He actually looked really technical with his striking, with his footwork, with his movement, and wound up getting a finish in the 3rd round. That was one of the 2 I felt like were deserved out of this fucking week 5. And we had Jesus Aguilar, he got the contract as well. He got a choke submission in the third round over Ferreira. It was a good fight to an extent. It was a back and forth fight, but I didn't necessarily feel like there was anything special, right? It was the same with Denise Gomes. It just wasn't. You're supposed to be the best of amateurs and giving your best performance. And even a finish doesn't necessarily give a contract, in my opinion. You literally have to give the best performance possible. And I know I'm just, a fan. I'm just starting my own like MMA journey myself, but that didn't feel like what could have been the best performance out of either one of those guys. It was a back and forth fight, but somewhat of a lackluster fight in the same instance till it gets to the finish of the third round. Somewhat of an undeserved contract. Then you get to Darius Flowers. The few seconds that this fight ended quick with Flowers and Gogaladze, they were really sprawling. They were rolling around a lot. Gogaladze was trying to take him down and control him. He started getting inverted triangle, and Flowers broke out of it and just picked him up, slammed him down on the ground, popped his fucking shoulder out. The fight's over. Gogaladze seemed like he was more of the dominant grappler, and they were just rolling around grappling, and Flowers wound up getting out of the triangle, and then, overpowers him. He gets slammed, boom, and fight. And he wins a contract off that.
I was getting strong Brandon Royval vibes off that fucking thing, because you could see as soon as he hit the fucking ground, he yelled my shoulder and leaned back and looked at the referee. Like, he made a point to say his shoulder popped when it popped, and homeboy kept fucking going on.
Yeah, you could immediately see all that, and it was just one of those feelings like we've seen so many times throughout the summer, right? With Jan Blachowicz and Alexander Rakic's fight, fucking Brian Ortega, Tom Aspinall. It's just like, you don't want to fucking see any fight in that way, whether it's amateurs or the best of the professionals, right? And then to get a contract off of that, and Dana to be excited about it, just because the guy, like, I guess Flowers came out and he was yelling for Dana like Dana wasn't at the table or whatever. So he's yelling at Hunter Campbell and Sean Shelby and shit. Where the fuck's Dana? And then he comes out and he points at Dana. He's like, I'm going to beat the shit out of this guy. And yet you lifted him up and popped his shoulder out. That's a contract. Oh, okay. That's another one of those. I feel like it's undeserved. The guy didn't look good in the grappling situation. He gets out of the submission and just fucking slammed him. A body slam wins you a contract. It was kind of disappointing. The second contract, I felt like truly deserved it. So we had three, what you would consider canned situations, winning contracts. And Cameron Saman, that was fantastic. Becoming the youngest male athlete, that was also a little cool story to go along with it. Pissed off because the bone nickel thing, the added built frustration. It's like everything that's happened already this season, just even something like that does deserve it. It's just overshadowed because the decisions Dana's already made. But Mick Parkin, the main event, he looked fucking fantastic. He was throwing bombs back and forth with the other guy. He took some shots himself. He came back. He wound up getting the fucking finish in round one, literally in under 2 minutes. He got a choke finish. He fucking cracked him to get him down to the ground, take him and took it back, fucking got a choke for a heavyweight. That's kind of impressive. Anytime you ever see a heavyweight get a submission finish, it's kind of exciting. So it felt more deserved. He went through a little bit of a back and forth heavyweight slugfest and, got his own shot in, got a choke. Somewhat of a deserved fight. And, you always need heavyweights. Heavyweight, middleweight, in my opinion, are some of the weakest divisions in the UFC right now. So those Cameron Saman, Mick Parkin, somewhat deserved. We'll move on to week 6. So, like I said, two out of those 5. Dana gave 5 contracts out of that week. I feel like 2 were deserved, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I like this contender series shit. Even a finish shouldn't guarantee you the contract, especially when the finish goes to injury like that Darius Flowers situation. So, when recapping this fucking week 6, And it started out, we had a 32-year-old Blake Builder getting the fucking, again, Dana hands out 5 contracts. So back-to-back weeks, 5 contracts. And starting it out with Blake Builder getting the contract. He did get a first-round submission. So he got the finish, but he's a 32-year-old, and this was one thing that just kind of irked me, like in the press conference with Dana talking to Laura Senko after the fact when he's announcing the winners, giving out the contracts. He says, I'm not looking for 32-year-olds, but this guy came out and did what he's supposed to do, so I'm going to give him a contract. It's like respect a little bit, but when you fucking admit you're not looking for 32-year-olds, even if the guy's got an okay record, he's 32 and he doesn't even have fucking more than 10 fights. So it's just kind of, it
like,
just felt wrong.
This is one of those things. Like Dana literally said, he came out and did what he's supposed to do. What the fuck did Bo Nickel do, Dana?
Yeah. And then, like I said as well earlier, the finish shouldn't necessarily give a contract. And then when you have that situation, a guy that's my fucking age, right? Now, I'm 26. Bo Nickel's 26. But I'm not Bo Nickel. I haven't been fucking doing what he's been doing since he's a kid, and then won national championships in wrestling and world championship in wrestling. And then he's already fucking won multiple pro fights, and your stupid ass, this is like you said, this will be a continuing frustration for the rest of the season, and it sucks. That poor decision that Dana made with not signing Bo Nickel. And I also think that with every ladies fight we get for the rest of the season, I'm going to be pissed off about the Carolina Wojcik thing. We'll get to that here in a second.
Did I not tell you that Polish chick was fucking badass, man? Like,
so Blake Builder, like Dana even admitting he's not looking for 32-year-olds, even if it was a decent showing. It's just it's that in-between feeling. Doesn't, Dana even kind of admitted it. He shouldn't really be doing it, but I'm doing it. So it's like, it's just a fucked up way to start. And then you get Victoria Dudikova. There's a Russian girl. She did come in and beat a girl that's 8-0. Like the chick that she faced was 8-0, undefeated. But it was a boring fight, and she just didn't show much. It wasn't like it was a close fight. She did win, but you don't want it. We said you don't necessarily deserve the contract from a fucking finish. You damn sure don't want to have a boring decision victory, even if it's a unanimous decision. And she definitely didn't put on a show like Denise Gomes in week 5, the week before this. I felt like Gomes, if you're going to give her the contract, just what about Wojcik? It still pissed me off because Wojcik, to me, looked so much more dominant in her fight, showed the grappling and the striking. And
took on a fucking jiu-jitsu black belt fucking submission specialist, beat the shit out of her.
I remember, Haley Cowan. He gave Haley Cowan a week before the contract saying he can't put his finger on it, but he sees something special in her.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing with this Dudikova fight. These are the two ladies in the past couple of weeks, the Haley Cowan contract and then this Dudikova contract. It's like giving these boring ass fights contracts, and then you had a dominant chick. What do you have against Polacks, Dana? That's how I feel. Like what do you have against Polacks? Did you enjoy Joanna get knocked the fuck out earlier this year? And now that she's retired, you're like, nah, I don't need to see any more Polak ladies. Like, you would think you'd be wanting to get some more in there because of what Joanna did. You'd be trying to, you also have Jan Blachowicz in the UFC. You'd be trying to push that, just like he always says, you're trying to push the international narrative. You'd be trying to get more and more international fighters, just like we'll get to the main event here with one decision that he made trying to spread internationally. Yes, you signed this Russian fighter, but you signed a shit ton of Russian fighters over the years. And like I said, it's somewhat of respect. She beat an 8-0 girl, but another boring fight, just like Haley Cowan. You had that The frustration continues to build week after week. You give these cans contracts, and Wojcik had a dominant performance. And the biggest thing that pissed me off with this week, right? He said that he saw something special in Haley Cowan. He couldn't put his finger on it. This one was even worse. In the press conference with Dudakova, he even said she didn't do much in the fight, but I see something in this girl. I see her being a future champ. He literally said, I see her being a future champ. My fucking ass. Like, I don't know. I think Dana needs to retire just like Mr. McMahon.
Last I checked, in order to be a future champ, you have to be able to fucking fight. That's kind of the literal
like
prerequisite.
Joe Biden, or he's smoking some really good shit that I'd like to get a hold of myself. Because some days you just need to go off into outer space, and I think that's where Dana White's living right now. Joe Biden landed or outer space. That was ridiculous. Future champ, but Wojcik not even getting a UFC chance. Not going to give her a chance, but this chick's going to be future champ. Oh, man. So, yeah, there's that a bit of frustration. We'll move on to the next one. This is one of the contracts on the fence about the deserving, right? So the first two of this week 6, no. But he gave all 5 of them again. Matusz Rebecki, he got a choke finished. He did overpower the opponent. Like, he took the guy down, he slammed him down, he worked his way into the choke. It was somewhat impressive, but we were talking earlier this week, me and the brother meter, and pointed some shit out to me that not everybody knows going into the fight. It was quite a mismatch. It was a good performance. It looked good in the moment, but it was quite the mismatch. Dana tried to sugarcoat it a little bit, and we don't know how true it is. I'll just give the facts that Dana said, the air quotes around the facts. He said that the guy that Rebecki faced weighed in at 180, and this was, I think, supposed to be a featherweight bout. So this was a featherweight bout. They weighed in
scheduled, yeah.
Yeah, they weighed in at 145 on Monday, and then Tuesday night, when they weigh them before the actual fight, the guy that Rebecki faced apparently was 180. So then Rebecki, that's how Dana says it was really impressive to him, because Rebecki overpowered the guy, gets to that choke, and the dude was incredibly heavier than him apparently, because Rebecki was more like 150 something, close to 160, and the other guy's 180. We don't know if we can believe it. So, like I said, we talked earlier in the week, the brother meter heard other things, and mismatch as well with the next fight, Cedrica Dumas. So Rebecki got the contract, but is somewhat on the fence about it. Cedrica Dumas, I just like his personality. Same thing that the big mismatch on it, right? The guy that he faced is a huge mismatch. He got the choke in 47 seconds. He was the underdog, but it still felt like a mismatch. Even in the moment, like once I was watching, I not knowing too much about the guys, but then watching the fight, Dumas looked a little fucking bigger going into the fight. He was coming in at a 2-1 dog, and it was exciting that he got a standing choke. He got the standing guillotine in 47 seconds. So it's like the guy has some skill, right? And he's got a good personality. So I want to see what he can do with the opportunity in the UFC. It's the same way, somewhat on the fence about him getting the contract, but I like this guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing Cedrica Dumas in the UFC and seeing him get the chance, even though I'm on the fence about Dana giving him the contract. I feel like out of these past 2 weeks, should have been 3 or 4 contracts awarded instead of 10. He gave all 10. The main event, this is the one out of this week, definitely fucking deserved. Yusaku fucking Kinoshita. He faced, I don't know if it was a change. I think earlier in the week when I was doing my research, it was Jose Alves he was supposed to fight, and then it turns into Jose Henrique. And I was like, is this the same guy? And it didn't just change his name a week before the fight. I was like, nah, it's both Jose's. But I was like, I think they got a different guy, because it was a different record too. Like when I did my research, the original guy, Jose Alves, I think was 5-1, And then Henrique, I think, was just 5-0 coming into this.
I think Enrique stepped in on like 4 days notice.
Yeah, so I think they had to change the fight, but it was. I think Kinoshita, he was just kind of playing around. He was really trying to just enjoy himself and wasn't working too hard in the first couple of rounds. He wound up fucking breaking his foot on throwing a lot of those kicks that he threw, you know, and it started the third round because right near the ankle, he broke his fucking foot. Didn't know it until after the fight, but that's why he said he just wanted to stand up going into that third round and try to strike, and God damn it, did he? Holy shit. Fucking Henrique tried throwing a fucking, punch. He just slipped that shit and cracked him with a hook in Night Night Irene. It was a fantastic fucking setup and a fantastic replay. And that was probably the only moment of the whole night on the Contender Series where I actually enjoyed DC's commentary. Because he did the old John Madden. He fucking replayed the shit and showed you exactly how fucking Kinoshita set the shit up. Kept his eyes on the target the whole time. He slipped the punch, keeps his eyes on his fucking chin, and he just cracked and then punches through. Instead of just trying to touch him up, you went straight through, and that's why it just laid the guy out. Props to Henrique, too, coming in undefeated and taking that shot. He was still awake. He got dropped, but he was still up for a minute. It's just Kinoshita hopped on him. He kept it going. And of course, the ref called the fight. But maybe we'll see that Henrique kid later on down the road. But excited to get a potential Japanese star, like I said earlier. Dana's spreading the wings internationally, getting this Japanese star, but still frustrated about the Wojcik thing. Frustrated about the Bo Nickel thing. It's going to be a continued thing for weeks, I feel. Hopefully, week 7, we can get some fucking excitement. There's only a couple fights I'm really excited about this week. I think it's going to be kind of as much as I'd like to hype it up and say that it's going to be a fantastic fucking week, I don't think it's going to be. There's just a lot of questions. There's one good matchup, Ismail Bonfim versus Nariman Abasov. It's so hard to pronounce names sometimes. But Abasov is 28 and Bonfim is 26. Bonfim's 17-3 professionally already, and Abasov is 28-3. So these guys got a hell of a fucking record already, and they're actually still fairly young. And they're coming in at lightweight. They both have quite a few fucking finishes, so this could be an exciting fight. We've got another ladies fight on this card. Yeah, it's the first fight of the night. Teresa Bleda versus Nayara Correa. Correa is 7-0-1, but she's 32. So similar to last week with the Blake Builder situation. She's got a decent record and everything, and she's got a good few finishes, but she's 32 years old. That's somewhat worrisome. And then Teresa Bleda, everything that I looked into, her age is unknown. Like straight up, maybe we could look into it later. Maybe I can come on Sunday on the recap show on Sunday and maybe give an update before we get this shit on Tuesday. But I don't know this chick's age. I looked on SureDog. I looked on the Tapology. I looked on damn near every fucking potential Google, everything. This chick's age is unknown. It's similar to that situation you were bringing up earlier that the one guy and his team kind of fucking falsified his fights and his record.
Right. Rozov, yeah.
Yeah, Teresa Bleda, she's 5-0. She's got 2 technical knockouts, 2 subs, and, 3 first round finishes. So somewhat exciting in the handful of fights she's got, but I don't know her age. If she's young, then maybe there's some excitement to be had there, because if she has a good showing against a 32-year-old, you don't want the 32-year-old getting a chance, but she's got a decent record and she's got some finishes herself, so it could be a decent show. But that's the question. That's why I brought up this ladies fight again. hopefully we don't get another boring showing so that if Dana gives a contract to one of these ladies, we have another reason to bitch about the Carolina Wojcik situation and just continue on for the rest of the season. But yeah, I got to continue looking at that. I got to try to find out what this chick's aging. Because like I said, Tapology, sure dog, it literally just says on the age, question marks. Just question mark for the age. So apparently it's unknown. I don't know what her age is. And then I'll talk about the main event. Rodolfo Bellato is 26 and he's 8-1. And this is a light heavyweight bout. And he's going against Vitor Salvo, who's 6-0 and he's 25. Some decent records. Again, some young guys, light heavyweight, an exciting fucking weight class. Bellato, he's got 4 submissions and 4 technical knockouts and 7 first-round finishes out of his 8 wins. So, I mean, every win he has, he's gotten a finish, and 7 of those 8 have been in the first round. In the last 2 fights he's had, also first-round subs, and he fought in the LFA. So he has fought in a decent fight promotion his last couple fights and won by first-round submissions. Some excitement there. And then Salvo, he has a couple of knockouts, true knockouts, not technical knockouts like Bellato. And then he's got a few technical knockouts in his 6-0 fucking career so far. He's got 4 first-round finishes out of those 6 fights. His last win was by a knockout, and he as well fought a decent promotion in that last fight, the UAE Warriors fight promotion. So there's some excitement to be had here in this main event. A few fights to be looking for. You know, if you want some extra fights throughout your week, fucking tune in on Tuesday night, and there'll hopefully be a few finishes and, you know, a couple exciting contenders to look at. I feel like that Teresa Bleda chick, I'm looking towards that, but if she's 32 or in her 30s like the chick that she's fighting, that's what bothers me. I don't like that. I've never seen that. It's just the first time I've ever come across it, you know, doing research for a podcast of any sort or looking into anything on a fight, and there's no age anywhere on Google or any site. So that's crazy. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a few fucking exciting fights.
It's not often, but every once in a while you'll come across a situation like that where they're fucking Mortal Kombat characters and they don't have a fucking profile picture and they don't have a fucking hometown and they don't have a fucking age and you don't know where the fuck they train out of, and you're like, how the fuck did this person get a contract if we don't know who the fuck they are or where they're from?
Yeah, so I mean, but that's all I got. Hopefully this week on week 7 it'll be somewhat exciting. I know obviously the most exciting thing we're going to get, even though it pissed us off that they snubbed Bo Nickel, we get to see Bo Nickel again, and we only have a few fucking weeks to wait till we get that, because I think it's the 27th. Yeah. September 27th, we get Bo Nickel again, and he's fighting a guy that I think is 7-1. So they're definitely testing him a little bit. Got to look into the dude that he's fighting, but I think I've heard that the record is 7-1. Now, of course, Bo Nickel's record's just 2-0. But you go out there and smash this guy in under a minute, especially like you did in the last one. There's no snubbing him again. You damn well better not give him a developmental contract.
Oh, shit.
Get him in there against some decent fucking guys that aren't ranked. Give him, like you did with Patty, give him a few good fights to get him started off and then see how he does. Fucking try to throw him in there. You can take it slow, but don't fucking make it take years before he could see those top guys, you know?
Right.
You definitely see him working his way into the top 10 within the next 2 years. That's just.
And don't let it be someone that's just hyped up. They put it like 7-1, and it's like, yeah, his 7 wins are somebody that are all people that never had a chance to win anything anyway.
Right.
You know, put them against a bunch of schlubs. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
We've seen that. We've seen a lot of that lately.
Fuck yeah, we have.
Oh, he's 13-2. Yeah. Did you see the 13 he fought? No, because nobody did, because they were fought like in someone's backyard in a ring made out of sticks.
Right. Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that lately. So the resume definitely, strength of schedule, as TJ likes to say, definitely fucking carries for damn sure. So thank you very much for that, sir. Much appreciated. That being said, with no golf tee here, that will usher us right along to what those of you at home listening in the all audio format a week after the show will not be able to appreciate, because it's something just the visual viewers at youtube.com/ImNoJoke get to appreciate. That banner rolling across the screen to let you know the moment has arrived when we lose the friendly atmosphere we generally keep around here at ImNoJoke, and we bring things down to a little bit more of a competitive level. And right now, during season 7, we are opening with the Pit Grand Prix, round 1, fight 3. Now, unfortunately, as we did mention earlier, the originally scheduled matchup for this evening did fall through due to life happening. It's not anything that anyone could have foreseen. So unfortunately, the original matchup did fall through. Lucky for us, though, we did have competitors willing to help make the event still play through here. So despite the intentions of the MMA gods trying to step on our dick, we're giving them the finger and we're doing it anyway. God damn it. The Pit Grand Prix rolls on. So
Well,
for this
if
round,
if they haven't given damn golf tee that damn ticket to Paris, we'd be okay right now.
I mean, you know,
I'm telling you, they shouldn't have given a free ticket.
sometimes when the golden ticket isn't as good as you think it'd be. But that being said, our round 3 matchup now becomes the Avocado versus the brother Slowbake here. So, being as how the brother Avocado definitely drove further, we are going to allow him to go first in this particular set of events. So, Mr. Avocado, for your first question this evening, as we like to do around here, the first question we affectionately refer to as, what the fuck am I watching? There's one fight inevitably that everyone just can't stop fucking talking about. And when that fight actually comes on, all you can do is put your face in your lap and regret listening to those fucking loudmouths on the internet. Which fight for that? Excuse me, which fight for you is that one on this card, sir?
Well, after long consideration, you can't do the golf tee one because you know what? He didn't show up because he got a better option. Sorry. Then there was the whole like canceled ones. I'm telling you, the ones they hype up and then never happen. Like the main card, you got one women's fight that one's canceled. But again, we can't talk about that one because it didn't happen. It won't happen. I'm kind of a little disappointed in this one here. I don't know. For me, I don't feel it. I feel like this is one of those ones that I kind of talked about. We were just talking about for the preliminary card. You got Fairs versus Mikel. I'm not sure which way he's put it. He is 8-0, but he hasn't went against anybody really significant. I feel like that's going to be a really, really one-sided fight. I just don't feel it. Not feeling that one. That's just my thoughts. When I was looking at it, I was like, I just don't feel it. I feel like that's going to be the one that's going to be like, well, not so much everybody's going to talk about it. Everybody's going to be like, let's not talk about it. And then, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Looking at him, it's like,
with Ross Iams layoff coming back from an extended period, there's definitely been a lot more hype around that fight than I feels like there needs to be. This is definitely one of those that we talked about where strength of schedule definitely reflects more than the numbers of the schedule itself.
Oh, it looks great on paper. Looks great, but I don't think it's going to be. Even though, yeah, he's got 4 losses, but I don't think it's going to be that way. He had 4 legitimate losses, and I didn't see anybody. Unless he comes back and he's not in shape, that's going to be one-sided.
Right. Definitely understandable. So that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here to the brother Slowbake. So for you, sir, I would like to know what the fuck am I watching fight of the evening, the one that everybody's talking about, but you and I both know when that fight starts, you're going to go take a piss because you ain't going to miss nothing.
All right, so this might be a little controversial to some, but I'm going to fucking say my what the fuck fight for this weekend's card is the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. Now, I love both of these guys dearly. Fucking Rob is one of the best middleweights active right now. If Izzy wasn't the fucking champ, Rob would probably be the champ. Similar to Colby Covington in the welterweight situation, when Kamaru was before we had all that kerfuffle a couple weeks ago with the Leon Edwards head kick, right? Fucking Marvin Vettori as well. I love him. I'm Italian. He's the Italian stallion, and he's a badass. He loves to just go in there and take a bunch of fucking shots. It's not necessarily always good for him. It's how he fucking has been losing a lot of his fights, even if he beat Paulo Costa in his last fight. I'm going to be rooting for Vettori in this one, but I feel like this is the overhyped fight because it was originally supposed to be in Singapore and it got pushed back. I know that was injury due to Rob and all that, but the putting it a co-main event on this card, I know it kind of needed it. We lost a couple fights on the card, but at the same time, there's no winning situation for either one of these guys. This is why this is the overhyped fight. And it's only 3 rounds instead of 5. And it's very possible that Marvin Vettori just tries to hold on to Robert Whitaker, similar to Merab Dvalishvili did with Jose Aldo. And it's just a boring fight instead of the exciting fight we're hoping it to be. But for either guy wins, they're not getting another title shot. At least no time soon. This win doesn't put them back in the picture. We know if Alex Pereira beats Izzy and wins the title later this year, they're going to go with the immediate rematch, just like what they're going to do with Leon and Kamaru. They're giving fucking Glover Teixeira the rematch against Yuri. We maybe won't see it this year from what I'm hearing, but they're still looking for that Yuri and Glover rematch. So if Pereira beats Izzy, they're going with the immediate rematch. So Vettori wins, he's boned. Whitaker wins, he's boned. Like, it's a good win to put on your record and resume, but they're both just sitting in limbo. So it feels like an overhyped fight because it's a lose-lose situation. There's no win, it feels like, for either guy. So that's why I'm throwing it at the what the fuck.
I absolutely agree with you here. This is definitely one of those situations. We actually talked about this a couple weeks back. I know that the pandemic-sized fucking week-long break has scrambled everybody's mind and made you forget everything that we've ever talked about. But at one point in time, we actually mentioned the fact that 185 is in this weird log jam position that ironically only happens when you have a dominant champion, because the top of the division starts to get stagnant, especially when the champion starts to go back and lap and beat multiple people or multiple times, much like Usman was doing down at 170. Adesanya's been doing the same fucking thing up at 185, and now we're at a situation where they rammed fucking Pereira so quick up the goddamn list. He jumped the full shark of the list, and realistically speaking, it doesn't matter which one of these guys wins or even how they win. We already know in a couple weeks we're going to see Izzy versus Pereira, and best case scenario for these guys, Izzy wins, and then the winner of this still has to hope that he's done enough to get that next shot. Worst case scenario, Izzy loses, and like you said, they're doing that fucking trilogy. They're fucking, well, it'll be the double, the rematch. But reality speaking,
I mean, the other reason I feel like they're boned is just because where Hamzat's at. We just got to see where things shake out with these next couple months, because with them trying to go on the rematch for welterweight, if Hamzat goes out there and smokes Nate Diaz like we think he's going to, why in the holy living hell wouldn't he want to challenge for the 185 belt? Like, if Izzy goes out and beats
I was going to say, if the dominoes fall,
that's the matchup you make at the start of next year. You just give Hamzat a title shot, and then that's a huge fucking money fight. Hamzat would go good against Izzy just as much as Kamaru Usman or Leon Edwards. I think no matter what, that's a decent matchup. That'd be an exciting fight. I'm into it. It's big money. So that's where I just feel like it's bad. I know they whispered about potentially moving up to 205. Like, both of them this week have whispered it might be the best option for them, because there's only so many dudes that are really good looking, right? Like, you've got some guys in the top 5 right now in the light heavyweight division that aren't as good as I think, like Ankalaev. I just
Right.
don't. I don't think he's as good as his record shows. He hasn't shown a lot. Anthony Smith just got hurt in that last fight, so yeah, they
I
just
do
seem
want to
like they're in a
interject
really
just slightly
tough
though there,
situation.
because there's one problem with this. You're right for the aftermath of the fight, but the fight's going to be a good one. I think the fight's going to be a decent one.
Well, hopefully, like I said, I'm
Hopefully,
rooting for
it's
Vettori.
I'm rooting for it,
but
but I think this could be a good
if
fight
he
though.
gets the win, because it's a 3-rounder, normally I would say if it's a 5-rounder, I think he could slug it out with Rob, and he'd be able to somehow get the win. Because Vettori's that kind of guy. He could go half of the fight just taking shots, and then get him fired up in the second half of the fight. He's just
It is hard
to
to get fired up when you have no future though. So
yeah,
I get it where
3-round
you're coming
fight.
from.
He's
Yeah.
gonna have to do like a Rob against Jose Aldo, like we saw a couple weeks ago. He's gonna have to probably just pin him up against the cage or get some takedowns, and he's gonna have to make it a boring fight. And in my
I hope
opinion,
it doesn't go
the
that route.
best way for Rob to win is probably just stay on his bicycle, just keep moving around, just keep piecing up Marvin Vettori.
Right.
That's the only thing. That, like I said, slightly overhyped. It's fucking lose-lose for both of the guys.
I get it. Yeah.
As much as I would love this fight to be exciting, I don't know how exciting it will wind up being.
I get it for sure. Between the difference of Faraz being, unfortunately on the shelf for a while due to circumstances beyond his control, and them absolutely overhyping his fucking return, and then this fucking go nowhere fucking #1 contenders best case scenario fucking matchup. Neither one of them really have a fucking leg to stand on for damn sure here.
No motivation.
But
nope.
We are going to tell you. Go ahead.
The only thing that I will say sucks for the guy that for us is fighting is this his debut fight.
Yeah, he's getting all of his thunder stolen.
He is getting overshadowed by somebody that doesn't deserve this hype.
Yeah, that definitely sucks for damn sure.
I hope you're wrong, Christian. I hope you're wrong because I really want to see this go well.
Dana going to do what Dana going to do, unfortunately. So, but we are going to give the point for round 1 here to the brother Slowbake. So, for round 2, we flip that coin over. We flip the starting positions over here. So for round 2, brother Slowbake will handle this one first. Round 2, the opposite side of that coin, what we like to refer to as, hey, Mo, get in here. That one fight that nobody is talking about. And by the time you realize that shit has popped off, it's too goddamn late. And you want to grab everybody within arm's fucking reach and pin their fucking eyeballs to the screen because this shit's about to blow your bladder the fuck away. Which fight would that be for you this weekend, sir?
All right. So this fight is on the main card, so it feels like there's been some respect for it, but I still think it's the dark horse because I haven't heard about it a lot this week other than the MMA community, right? Like, podcasts and stuff like the Anik and Florian podcast. Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Jourdain. I feel like this could be the most exciting fight of the night. They're both coming off of a fight just, about a month ago? They both just fought in July. So, I mean, I'm excited as hell. Jourdain coming off the war with fucking Shane Burgos. I mean, Shane Burgos had to change up his normal fighting strategy, start going for takedowns, and show his wrestling game because of the respect toward Jourdain's striking ability, right? He didn't want to necessarily go toe-to-toe with Jourdain there. That was impressive to see, even though Shane got the win. And then Nathaniel Wood looked great coming back off of an almost 2-year layoff, right? So, and he is kind of a striking guy. They put him against a grappler in his last fight. He showed he did pretty good. And this could be a back and forth striking fight. On mine and Vincent's podcast, we do our little bet on blood thing towards the end of it. This is probably going to be the fight that I go for in that sense, that I feel like it's going to be the bloodiest fight on this card, the potential best war. So, since, the good old classic, hey, Ma, get in here. Mom needs to sit her ass down and fucking watch this fight because this is going to be the fucking best fight on this card. Hell of a fucking featherweight matchup. And I'm excited to see Nathaniel fucking Wood get into this striking match, if he goes out there and has a great showing against fucking Charles Jourdain, that's good shit for Nathaniel Woods fucking climbing up the ladder, man. Excited to see this.
Yeah, Nathaniel Woods is one of those dudes that's just scrappy as all fucking get out. Jourdain is literally the definition, one of those guys that we say it's allergic to boring fights. He breaks out in punches, so it's always fun to watch that dude fucking get after it for sure. So that brings us back across the octagon, as it were, here to you, Mr. Avocado. So on every fight card, especially on fight night cards like this, hangover cards, if you will, there is always one fight that nobody has given any love to. And it always turns out to be the one where you're literally yelling at everyone in the fucking house, you need to fucking watch this. Which fight is that for you, sir?
For me, it's Khalid versus Christian. They both look like they want to fight. They just look really like they want to fight. Like this is going to be a down out brawl. I just had that feeling with it. They both look like they're ready. And I think this is just going to be that one you're not expecting to be a great fight. And it's just going to be a downright brawl and somebody's getting knocked out. It's not going to last the whole time. They just have that feeling about this one. I've had it, typical fashion where it comes down to it. I come by what I feel, and they just have that aggression right now. They're both really there. They both had losses before, but they both have fought really good and hard. So I have a feeling this being not on the main card is really the one to watch. This might be the one that you just like start yelling at your TV, like, yes, or a computer. Yeah, that's my feel. I think this is going to be a good fight.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Yeah, no. Khalid Taha versus Christian Quinones, the matchup that we're talking about, for those of you who are not aware. Definitely one of those, I will say, that has slid under the radar for the most part here. Neither one of those really necessarily a household name. In this situation, I would say absolutely, especially compared to Jourdain versus Nathaniel Wood. We absolutely, in this situation here, I'm going to undeniably have to give the point in this situation to the Avocado himself here, undeniably. Both fights I do think have potential to be extremely fucking exciting. Personally, I do feel like the Jourdain versus Wood fight might have a little bit more potential to be exciting, but I also feel that that's kind of like Jourdain is his own personal fucking promoter, so he's literally walking behind himself in a circle with a megaphone saying, you need to watch this guy, he's gonna kick somebody's ass this weekend. Like, he's that dude. So
Yeah.
I feel like he definitely does bring a little bit of his own promotional work for sure, aside from what the UFC is going to do. I do agree. Both of them are definitely underhyped fights for what they should be. But in this situation, we are definitely going to give the point to the Avocado for this one.
And I will say the Taha Quinones fight, that's going to be very interesting because Khalid Taha is coming off of a loss, going up against another debut fighter.
He's just 1-4 in the UFC so far.
Yeah,
It's been his kryptonite.
It's gonna be very interesting to see what Quinones can do come Saturday, and it's gonna be interesting to see if Taha can get his feet underneath him.
Yeah, because Taha has something to prove. He has to prove himself. So that's going to make it.
Could be his
this
fucking
is
career. Yeah,
this feels like a brawl. This is going to be a brawl to the end. Because
this is basically a dude making his debut versus a dude who could be on his last UFC fight. So it's literally like one dude fighting to make himself known, one dude fighting
right?
himself.
That's the UFC giving him 6 fights and you've won 1. Yeah, they're probably not going to give him another chance. You wouldn't think so, anyways.
And this, like, virtually no chance. This is not going to be a bloody fight because both of them have gotten pretty bloody in the past already.
Oh yeah, no, they both can take a crack for sure.
Yep.
I mean,
it's going to be a good
Quinones professional amateur record, because he's not fighting the big leagues of the UFC, but his professional record, he's only lost 3 fights.
Yep. And
that is a tough fucking shot. And from his record itself, looks to be a rather well-rounded fighter for where he is in his career so far. So he is definitely going to be interesting to watch Saturday.
I mean,
I'm
we'll
very
find out.
curious.
We're going to find out whether or not he can handle it into the big
Yeah.
leagues or not. And we're also going to find out whether or not somebody says bye-bye.
Right. Oh, shit. So that'll bring us, gentlemen, to round 3, what we like to refer to around here as the co-main question, if you will. This one, we would like to know, first off, Mr. Avocado, you'll get this one to start us. How do you see this very clearly overhyped co-main event playing out, despite the winner quite literally being stuck in the mud, even if he gets a fancy win?
So I'm thinking it's going to be Whitaker. I just have that feeling it's going to be Whitaker, but I'm not. It's kind of like I also felt like this was going to be. It wasn't like it's overhyped because it wasn't hyped as much as I expected. I heard little of this, and I think it's for the same reason as what Christian said. They're not really coming anywhere. They have no place to go. So it's kind of like for a co-main event, this was a little underwhelming with what they said, but yeah, I think Whitaker's got this one. So what do you think, Christian?
Interesting. Okay, so we think it's going Whitaker. Okay, we can go with that then. So that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, over here to the brother Slovak here. So in this clearly overhyped co-main event, as it were, we know who you think is going to come away with the victory, even though it's not going to help him. The question, sir, becomes how do you think the Italian stallion manages to steal victory from the jaws of that Bobby Knuckles defeat?
All right. So it might be slightly my fan side talking, but as well, I've been looking into Marvin. Like, I'm a big fan of fucking Marvin Vettori. He's been working really hard going in this training camp, and then he almost had a double training camp because they were fucking supposed to fight earlier on in the year in Singapore, and he got pushed on. He's been working really hard on his fucking boxing and his fucking striking. And I know that's the biggest thing we've never really seen out of Vettori is a lot of finishes. That's, to me, the biggest thing that can help put him over, like we talked about. They're both in a lose-lose situation. Now, of course, I'm riding for Vettori. But could you imagine Vettori going out there and putting Rob Whitaker to sleep? The kind of reaction us fight fans would have seeing something like that, similar to Michael Chandler putting Tony Ferguson to sleep, or what we saw 2 weeks ago with Leon Edwards. If we see something like that, it doesn't necessarily matter who wins, in my opinion, against Pereira or Izzy. You might have people question because of Vettori having a couple good showings against Izzy. I feel like he did have more competitive fights than Robert Whitaker, even though they both have lost to him twice. So I feel like that's the way it's going to go. Vettori getting the knockout finish. That's the only way it's going to potentially help get him stuck out in the mud.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely think that is a possibility. We know that Vettori, despite looking like the fucking orcs are coming from Isengard, that he does legitimately carry that fucking orcish power. Like, he might be goofy looking,
and he's
but
a fucking zombie, man. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to worry about his chance.
Sure. Yeah,
he can go in there and
through.
take those chances and fuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's one of those dudes that he is more than willing to take a shot to give a shot. We have seen that time and time again. As much as I would like to see Bobby Knuckles just come away with a spectacular fucking W and make that fucking grandiose fucking old dog still got it moment, I gotta think that in this situation, Vettori has got to fucking pull this one out of his ass. It's basically his fight to give away at this point. I don't think Whitaker's completely washed, but god damn it, if he's not about to fall into the fucking machine with soap already in his fucking pockets, man. Like, we're there. We're at 18 walking towards the fucking door. All we got to do is open it. Vettori might be the guy.
He just doesn't seem like he's got that fire much anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Volkanovski is a really nice guy. Tuivasa is a really nice guy, right? They're all Australians. They're very respectful to everybody that they fight. They're very nice guys to their fans, to their opponents. all the above. They're great guys, Volk, Ty, but Rob just doesn't seem to have that fire that either, like Ty says it all the time. He wants to go out there, swing and bang. He's not worried about Cyril Gane and his athleticism. We'll get into that in a bit more. I know.
Yeah, but Rob has also got to be feeling that they're trying to push toward the end. He's getting up to the end. He might have that fire in him.
Rob's also been talking. Rob's also one of those guys that's been talking a lot lately, less about how he's been fighting and more about where he's thinking about fighting. He's been talking a lot lately about moving up to 205 as well. Before Izzy ever made it a controversy or fucking Kamaru ever mentioned that he was talking about skipping middleweight altogether, Whitaker was already talking about potentially going up to 205. So there is a chance here as well that if you can't bring that fire, Izzy really
this is
did.
Knuckles versus Chin. Can Vettori take it? That's what it is. You guys think he can? I don't think he can.
We will definitely see. There is always that possibility. You can't say that a guy named Bobby Knuckles doesn't have a puncher's chance. That would just be fucking ridiculous. But what I will say is he also has about 15 years of fucking road miles more than Vettori does as well. And I think that's going to come into play a lot more in a 3-round fight where the damage and the speed of the fight are both going to be increased significantly.
I think the 3-round fight is in Whitaker's advantage. If it were a 5, I think I wouldn't probably even. I would, unless it's going to be a knockout. I would tend
to think that's the other way around, considering we've seen Vettori gas the fuck out and we've seen Whitaker go championship rounds more than a few times.
He is getting up there. So
yeah, he knows he's also done it a bunch of times. And Vettori has yet to do it successfuri once that I can think of. I think the only time he's ever seen 5 rounds was with Izzy, and then I think the one before that when he was with what's his dick that they made him fucking run back again. But neither one of those looked good when they got to 5. Even when Bobby Knuckles loses, he's still smiling in 5, baby.
Still feels weird calling him Bobby Knuckles. I have heard him called that, but it just seems weird. I try to use their real name.
The Reaper, baby.
Yeah. I really think that, when he gets sensing the end like this, and this is a serious fight, if he's taking it seriously like he should be, he's got to prove himself. And that sometimes having to prove yourself can bring you over the top. But I'm not going to say either way. This should be a good fight either way.
Okay, I am going to TJ it. There are key things that were not mentioned that could have swayed the way this went, at least for me personally. We just talked about one of them. Marvin Vettori's gas tank, he's a 2-rounder at best. If he controls himself, he is a 2-rounder. Bobby Knuckles can go an hour and a half and still fucking smile at the end of the day, which I don't understand. I don't understand how his gas tank is what it is, especially with the size of his body. It's very, very fucking interesting. The other thing is Bobby Knuckles is a much more technical fighter. He more so picks his shot and makes sure that it's a good shot and a good placement. Vettori is more of a let me bang, let's fight in a phone booth. I'm not covering up anything. I'm just swinging haymakers. Those are key things for me personally, looking at both fighters and knowing
that's the key thing you got to take into the effect. Vettori has never been finished. Robert Whitaker has been put out. That's the biggest thing. It's the same thing we're going to talk about with the main event as to why I'm going the way I'm going with that. I'm going to go with the fighter over the guy that wants to sit back and wait and take his shot.
Slow your
you always go.
See, the thing is that we'll take the shot though.
We'll get there. I promise you, we'll get there. Save your energy. Woosah into the nose, out through the mouth. Woosah. We'll get there. I promise you. We'll get there. I promise you, we'll get there. But we can't get there until we finish up here. So the point for round 3 officially goes to the brother Slowbake. That being said, that will bring us to the point where we flip that interesting little coin over onto its shiny underbelly and give a little glare to the other side of things as we bring it back across the octagon again, as it were here. This time, We're going to start with the brother Slowbake, but we want to know in this not overhyped fight on the card, according to anyone's standards this evening,
No.
the Frenchman at home in Paris, Bongamin, stepping into main event, the first Parisian card of the UFC's history. But can he get it done? How do you think it plays out, sir?
Well, I'm happy that the UFC finally got an event in Paris, but I think the Paris fans are going to be disappointed because Tai Tuivasa is going to put Cyril Gane to sleep. I'm thinking he's going to do it in round 2. Everybody all week's been talking about how this is such a mismatch for Tai Tuivasa, and I mean, even the betting odds are saying the same thing. Cyril Gane's got that athleticism. He is very technical with the striking, but he's also only been in MMA for a few years. He showed that he's still a little green in his last fight against Francis Ngannou. Ngannou was able to control him in that fight with a torn ACL, for fuck's sake. I'm not going to be able to forget that. And whether Cyril Gane's got good technical ability or not, he's in the heavyweight division, and he never has got a true knockout. Tai Tuivasa has, 15 wins and 14 finishes out of those? The dude just goes out there and knocks people the fuck out. And other than Derek Lewis, he doesn't have a ton of great names. You know, he put Greg Hardy out. He's Sergey Spivak or Augustus Sakai. You know, he's had some decent names, but not the greatest. Derek Lewis is what's really sent him up to this point. This is what's going to put him over. Him knocking out Cyril Gane is going to give him an opportunity to call out someone like John Jones or even Francis if he, re-signs with the UFC. We still got a whole situation for them to delve out there. There's some messiness with the heavyweight division, like we were talking about with the middleweight division earlier, but it's just that situation. Everybody's been talking about the athleticism, no different than RJ mentioned about the gas tank with Marvin Vettori. It's a fight. Yes, that could be an issue if it gets to later rounds. Yes, this is a 5-round fight, but this is also a fucking heavyweight fight. One dude doesn't have knockout power, and one dude is all about the knockouts. And that's all it takes is one good shot. Ty's putting Cyril out. We're doing fucking shoeys tomorrow night. And of course, I'm going to root for the doing fucking shoeys and Tai Tuivasa getting a title shot, because why the hell wouldn't he get a title shot if he knocks out Cyril Gane? Let's fucking go. That's how I see this is playing out.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Hey, Tai Tuivasa, if you can't give fucking Robert Whitaker counted out for a fucking puncher's chance, you sure the fuck can't count Tai Tuivasa out with a fucking puncher's chance. That's for goddamn sure. So shoeys are definitely a possibility, but that will bring us back across the octagon, as it were, in this situation here. So, Mr. Avocado, the question comes back to you, sir. Do you, like Mr. Slowbake here, believe that we have gone all the way to Paris just for an Australian guy to drink beer out of his goddamn shoe? Or do you, like so many of us, think that we have finally come to the fight capital of France for a good reason, with a good representative show some ass kicking?
My picks are already in, so I can prove I didn't change anything. But Tai Tuivasa, I like where Christian's going with this. It would be great for him. This would be a nice stepping stone, but it's just too bad that he's not going to win. it's just too sad. I'm sorry, Christian. You're just not going to get this one. This one, I mean,
I've been doing pretty good on my picks the past month. So
Gane has got so many reasons to have to do this. I mean, like we just said, they just finally got a Paris card. That gives him home, all that hype, all that pumped. His energy is going to be there. And no, Tuivasa is going to go home with a loss. I'm sorry. It's just the way it's going to go. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I feel bad for you with this week because I really thought you would think.
I know what to tell you. It's a heavyweight fight.
It's a heavyweight fight, yes, but
knockouts are the winner.
But you know what? The one thing that Gane has figured out how to do is not get knocked out too so much. I mean, he's got a pretty damn good record for it. This isn't. I'm sorry. I mean, you're gonna go home with a lot. I mean, I thought you were gonna have a good card this week, but now I realize your card's gonna be messed up. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm sorry, Christian.
Jeez.
I just feel bad for
I
you.
expect a formal apology next week, whether they were not a part of the pit or not. Once Ty gets the knockout and he's working his way to John Jones's ass, I want an
Can we get a
apology.
GoFundMe together for the tissue box he's going to need when he finds out that's not true? I mean,
Oh man. So I've got to say, this is one of those weird fights that Vegas can tell you whatever the fuck they want, and there's no fucking right answer for this fight because TaiTuivasa, we have seen more than one occasion, can get you at that 459 in round 5, punch you in the fucking nose, and you don't know what's happening until 3 days have passed and your wet nurse is coming to change your fucking diaper. On the other side of that, Cyril Gane has only had significant problems with one man in the UFC, and that man just so happens to be the guy who's got the fucking belt currently wrapped around his gigantic African fucking waist. That being said, neither man, ironically enough, have a clear path to victory in this fight. Cyril Gane can't count on his wrestling because Ty's not a wrestler. Ty can't count on that one punch power because Cyril's never been knocked out, because Cyril can also move like a fucking light heavyweight. He's stupid fast for a goddamn fucking heavyweight. So the fucking levels of this fucking fight almost completely nullify each other. The thing that I do have to say here, though, is that as much as I like TaiTuivasa and as much as I like Cyril Gane, this I feel like might be one of those glaring examples of a card that we see, regardless of how much you want everything to be unbiased and the best man to win. When that crowd sees Cyril Gane walk out, it's going to be akin to when Paddy Pimblett walked out in the O2 Arena. That fucking building is going to start rocking. Wine glasses are going to get spilt. Berets are going to get tipped, and cigarettes are going to be broken. It's going to be fucking crazy. There will be charcuterie boards on the floor, and no one's going to know how to act. The mimes will be stuck in their box for days. Paris is going to be fucking chaos. I'm telling you right now. And I think that can only help Cyril Gane in this situation. Yep. I love TaiTuivasa, and I generally hope to see him doing a shoey come hell or high water. But I have got to think in this situation, all signs point to Cyril Gane having everything going for him here. So I unfortunately have to give the point for round 4 here to the avocado. Now, for those of you who've been keeping up and for those of you who can maths, that will, boys and girls, bring us to a tie game, which means we have no choice but to bring this motherfucker to a winner take all, one question sudden death match. Last point takes the game and the winner for this round in the Pit Grand Prix. So, gentlemen, as we do around here, when it comes to the pit, we don't give a fuck what card we're talking about because that has no bearing on our final round question. So, RJ, seeing as how you are not involved in this week's pit, and both of these gentlemen may have had a chance to see some of these potential questions here, I have done 2 things. 1, I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which question they get. But 2, our cast member who is not here today gave us bonus questions to be mixed in with the already existing round 5 potential questions. So, RJ, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential questions here on the backer board of 5 roundum. I need a number 1 through 8, sir. Which question are these gentlemen going to be answering for us?
2 weeks ago, I for the homie that passed away, raise hell, praise Dale. This week, going number 6, Mark Martin in his prime, Valvoline, baby.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be this one right here. So this particular situation, we have got the avocado leading the dance for this one. So, gentlemen, starting with Mr. Avocado, your question for round 5, sir. Where is the next big fight location to be announced by the UFC? Just recently, literally just within the last few weeks, we found out we're starting 2023, going back to Brazil. We're kicking off 2023 with our first pay-per-view back in fucking Rio, and I'm telling you, that's going to be crazy. So we're going to France this weekend. Rio starting the next year off. What's the next big city that the UFC sends us to, sir?
Oh shit! You would. This is a TJ question, isn't it? Yep. This
No.
was TJ. No. Mm,
No.
next big city. Wow, this is random as hell.
Welcome to round 5, baby.
All right, okay, can I go where I'd like to go?
Oh, wait, is he going to be city or just country of
Country.
origin?
Well,
Origin.
the question says location, so I juxtaposed city on there because I figured city might make it a little bit easier. It could be country, it could be region. What is the next location, the next big spot the UFC has not been to that we are going to, that is going to make shit go crazy?
The next one place they haven't been. Well, this is an advantage for Christian because he has a lot more history on this. Big advantage for. Have they been to Japan? I would like to see that. So I'm going to say Japan just because it'd be really, really awesome. We're talking about trying to bring some more Japanese talent in. Imagine if they did that similar to this, and that actually could get that all going at once. Next big place they haven't been, I would like to see Japan on that list.
Interesting indeed. That could definitely be a big one between Pride and the bullshit with fucking Ryzen and
They've been
really not
pushing for
capitalizing
it
on
a
the
little
Japanese
bit.
market. Yeah.
They've been talking about it a little bit. That could be like a precursor to them actually doing it. Maybe they've been hinting and they're not even letting you know and just kind of subtly saying, hey, what about Japanese talent? And then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? We got a Japanese card.
Yeah, especially with the gentleman from the fucking Soup Can series this past week. That motherfucker, when his fucking soccer kick fucking audition tape that he sent to the UFC. Good Lord. Yeah, there's definitely some dudes over there. That would make a pretty good fucking big location for damn sure. So that will bring us back to the other side of the octagon, as it were, in this particular situation. Brother Slowbake, in your opinion, sir, the next big fight location the UFC is going to bring us to knock our fucking socks off, where do you think it's going to be?
All right, so I'll give a little honorable mention to one that's probably really realistic because of Volkanovski and shit like that. They'll probably go to Australia soon, but the one that they've been to Australia before, I think, right? So that's why I'm doing that honorable mention. The one that they've never been to before, Africa. Just probably more like Nigeria because they have Kamaru Usman, they have Israel Adesanya, they have even fucking Francis Ngannou. So if they went somewhere in Southern Africa, it'd be a huge event. We know Dana White's talked about it before, wants to do it. Something that hopefully they're looking at here in the near future. For me, that would be the biggest next location that the UFC could go to they haven't been to, just because of how many fighters they have right now currently is still are at such a high level, right? If Kamaru goes and gets his title back in that trilogy fight against Leon, wouldn't that be a great way to then reward him for winning the belt back, because he's got to go face Leon in his hometown. They're going to go to England for that one, so it'd be fantastic to make a card where you have 2 championship fights. If Izzy keeps his belt, we have Israel and fucking Kamaru. Shit, even throw a third one on there. Get Francis on there if they re-sign him. It just would seem like potentially one of the biggest events the UFC's ever had, especially internationally.
Yeah, but then who do you cheer for? You got 3. You got to pick one. My case, you got 1. See, 1. You know who you're cheering for.
So I've got to say, definitely both good answers for damn sure. On one hand, I can say without a shadow of a fucking doubt, anyone who's been watching UFC for a significant amount of time is well aware of Pride. And if the UFC even hinted that they were going to recreate Pride since they own the Pride library, and they brought out the fireworks and they brought out the fucking giant screen and they brought back the fucking stadium shows to put on a Pride style event in Japan. Not only would that motherfucking arena, wherever they put it, sell every single possible fucking ticket you could, that would sell all the pay-per-views, not one or two, all of them. That's how many you're going to sell. Yes, that's how that
yes.
On the other hand, with Ngannou, with Adesanya, with half a dozen other people that we've got in the UFC who are African natives or African representing fighters, even if we manage to get just to dip our toes in the water, call it UFC Africa, and do it in fucking Egypt. Let Hamdi's big Olympic ass help you build a fucking card around people who are going to lose their mind in Egypt. So you've got a Middle East card that's not in Abu Dhabi, but is still also technically an African card. You can work with that. There's a lot to be said there as well. It's honestly one of the tougher calls we have had to make here. I'm not going to lie. And as fun as both of them could be, as somebody who has literally been watching fights for over 30 years, I got half a hard on when he said Japan, and the thought of a potential Pride recreation rolled into my brain like a little mini movie. There was half wood. Like, I hit the bottom of the desk. I'm kind of surprised you guys didn't hear my fucking pens rattle here, because that thought just spurned me on like no fucking other. And I know, unfortunately, because UFC is going to UFC, we're probably never going to realistically see that. But good Lord, if Dana's looking for a way to make fucking money, you can't print it fast enough. If you tell them you're going to bring even a fucking marginally good card to Japan, anime style, dude, just bloody nose everywhere. It's over. It's fucking over. As much as I would like to say that this was a seriously hard decision to make, and it was not an easy decision to make, the Japan answer just fucking D-date us right into this being a round and a match for the avocado. I do
It's
have
okay.
to
The
say,
same thing's gonna happen with the main card, but it's okay.
No, I expected this loss. I'm a great replacement. The whole week, I figured no matter what I do, no matter how good of points I make, I'm the one reliable motherfucker every week if we ever need a replacement. That's it.
It's okay, Christian. Christian, you did exactly the same. TJ would have done exactly the same thing. You just stood in for him. Yeah.
No, I will say this. If you guys watched about 4 months ago, Africa was TJ's answer.
Yeah. See? Actually, I do remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Africa was TJ's answer.
But they have been trying
first, so I had to go with Africa. That was the next best one. I was thinking India a little bit too, because it'd be cool if the UFC went to India sometime in the near future. But obviously, Africa, having all the fucking African fighters they got, that was the best one I could go with. Once you went with Japan, literally earlier this week, I was wanting to say Japan, but you went first, because earlier this week, Tuesday night, when Dana had the press conference after the Contender Series, and I watched it, he's talking about fucking Japan. He signs the Japanese fighter.
They've been talking
about
the Japanese
asked him
fighters
about going to Japan. He's like, "Yeah, I would love to do that. Like, we're looking at trying to do that soon." So, like, man, you got it first, so congrats.
And I didn't even catch that interview, so there.
But Meter, I will say this: Saudi, never gonna happen.
Probably not. No.
No, you want to know why? All right, name the biggest consistent sponsors of the UFC. Consistently, since like the fucking creation.
Visit Abu Dhabi.
And alcohol. Saudi Arabia has a ban on alcohol.
Them too, yeah.
They're never going to pull it off, because if you go to a fight, you want to fucking drink, and it's not going to be a thing. Like F1 had to ban all vendors from selling any alcoholic merchandise.
Hey, we're gonna have lots of sake when they get to Japan. We're okay.
Hey, dude, sake is fucking delicious. Watch yourself, because I'm part
We're gonna
Japanese,
have a
sir.
lot of sake when we get to Japan. Let's watch. Yeah. It's not if, it's when.
I have been waiting and dying for Japan ever since the UFC bought Pride out from the Yakuza. I've been waiting for that moment for years, and I don't know if it will happen. I hope it does happen, because that is a massive market that they are missing. You have Ryzen over there, you have fucking ONE FC over there, tearing apart the Asian culture in mixed martial arts. And I think the Asian market, with them watching UFC on TV for years now, and knowing that UFC owns what Pride is, the UFC is drastically making a business mistake not stepping into the Asian market more often. Japan,
Agreed.
China, Korea, they're making a huge mistake.
How
Yeah,
much
the UFC
mixed
PI is
martial
not
arts
in
is based on that culture, and the training is based on that area.
In
Why
Thailand.
isn't that a thing?
Right. Yeah, no, the UFC PI in China is not enough to keep the fucking Asian mixed martial arts fucking market flowing towards the UFC, clearly, for damn sure. But that being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode of the show. So I do again want to thank everybody, whether you are watching this live Thursday nights on the youtube.com/ImNoJoe YouTube channel, or you're catching this a week after the live airing over in all audio format on anchor.fm/ImNoJoe through your podcast consumption platform of choice. Either way, we appreciate you, whether you just stick around to watch the show, whether you turn us on for background noise while you're doing the dishes. We just don't give a shit. You're helping us out, and we appreciate that. If you like what we do, make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on whatever platform you're picking this up. If you got the option, we'd appreciate a thumbs up, maybe share an episode with a friend. On the other hand, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing in a podcast this deep that you didn't like? Give us the thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. Now, if you're not one of those assholes and you want to help us around here, the best way to do that is patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name on the end of every single broadcast that comes through this channel as a thank you. And for just enough time, while we're still able to, because we're too hot for OnlyFans, Patreon's not so shady, though. They'll let us do whatever the hell we want, so that dollar also gets you access to unaired and literally unairable content. Things we can't show to the public without a paywall. It's just that fucking crazy. Don't believe me? Test me with $1. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So remember, all the links for everything good with this show are all down in the description, as well as the links to everyone who takes part in the show, even the Brother Slow Bakes podcast, and all the links to their goodness, all down in the description. The avocados links, everything, all the goodness you could ever possibly want down in the doobly doos. Don't forget to click around. That's all we've got for tonight, though. So remember, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you think Mar-a-Lago is a secured location. Dumbass.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye?